Chevy went a little bold with its design of the Silverado HD, and a lot of people did not like the design of that front end. So it's a good thing that they refreshed it now for 2024. That's the truck we're going to have a look at in this video. We're going to have a look at the front, the rear, and also the interior that now doesn't look like it's from the 90s anymore. It's actually stepped it up to the level of the 1500 Silverado, which is really good. So first of all, let's talk about some of the spec and tech here. It still has the same 6.6 gas V8 making 401 horsepower and 464 pound-feet of torque, but it's now hooked up to a 10-speed instead of an old 6-speed automatic, and the diesel power is up by 25 horses to 470 horsepower and 975 pound-feet of torque. If you want to tow, this is the truck for you. On the interior, we now have a 12.3-inch gauge cluster, all digital, and a 13.4-inch touchscreen, bringing it in to today's era. It looked so outdated, the previous, actually the current HD. I'm going to show you that when we compare the new and the old. And one thing I really like about this refresh is I'm a fan of the High Country trim. I think it's more of a luxury trim, but it still looks very cool, still very capable off-road, but it has all that chrome stuff on it. But now, for the 2024 model, you can get the High Country for the first time in something called the Midnight Edition, and you know what that means. It just de-chromes the entire car and just blacks out everything, which I think looks so much better. And there are also going to be a first ever ZR2 off-road version of the HD Silverado. Pretty cool stuff. It's getting a little chilly outside, so I'm wearing my Sketch Monkey brand new hoodie right here. Super cozy, super warm. It has the Sketch Monkey Hot Rod Doodle on the back as well. So go check this out if you want to at thesketchmonkey.com. Now let's jump into Photoshop here. Let's have a look at this design and what's going on with the new Chevy Silverado HD. The old one, I think it actually looks pretty cool because it's not very pretty in the front end, but I think it kind of suits the HD to look a little industrial in its front face. We have these two LEDs, as you can see right here, going here, and then one at the bottom right here as well. And this is the High Country. It has a lot of chrome on it, which kind of suits, I guess, a High Country trim. Then we have this weird design of the side mirrors. It has like a step to it. It's like a step. You can walk one step, two step, three step. It goes all the way up in this interesting design of the side mirrors. I think that's not changed for the new refreshed version. And then we have this front bumper, which looks pretty normal, but this is also changed for the new facelift of the HD Silverado. So have a look at the headlights here. I think this is sort of similar to the generation of Chevy Camaro, when they decided that they made a huge mistake and quickly needed to fix it in order to get more sales. You have this bar in the middle cutting into the headlights and kind of separates the top part from the lower part. Then you have the main headlights down here, which I don't mind. As I said, I think this kind of suits an HD Silverado. It doesn't need to be pretty. It's not what an HD is supposed to be. I like the more industrial look for this, but at the same time, I think the new refresh looks a whole lot better in the HD Silverado, because now this bar that cuts into the headlight or the daytime running lights up here, it's no more. So we have a full LED going from the top into the bottom, but we still have the same kind of angles in the LEDs, which I like. They kind of point outwards, giving this this more industrial look. But now we have the headlights sitting further up as well, so they don't sit down here like we have in the pre-facelift. And this is the regular High Country. You can see it right here with the chrome, but I would definitely get the High Country in the Midnight Edition and just black everything out. And looking at the lower part, we have a new front bumper as well. So this is totally redesigned for 2024. We have some nice styling features in here. The designers went a little crazy with this design, even though it is the big brother of the HD. They have some fun with this little line going down, dipping down into the bumper and creating this chamfer right here. And we also have a new positioning of the fog lights. They sit further out in the design, which I like. It kind of makes it look a little wider when all the lights are on this truck. So let's have a look at the rear view. This as well is one of these typical facelifts where they only focused on the face of the truck, but I think when I look at this, compare the 2020 to the 2024, I'm not sure if this was an option for 2020, but it looks like the new 2024 has some new internal parts of the taillight there. I'm not sure. Maybe you know and can comment down in the comments of this video if there is actually an LED here, a thick LED bar that goes here, or maybe not specifically in this model that I have here. Maybe this was an option, but we definitely have that in the new one, and I think this looks really good. It creates some sort of identity also in the rear, and this is typical Chevy to have this body piece go in and cut in to the taillight itself. I think it looks pretty good. Not the best looking truck from the rear end. I'm a huge fan of Rams, for example. I think the Fords look better than the Chevy as well, but I think this is an upgrade with just having the big fat LED in here. It creates a more modern look, and it also gives it more of an identity, as I said, in the rear end. Now, last but not least, we have the interior, and this is where the big changes happen. Same thing with the Silverado 1500 when I first saw the refresh of that. The new refresh just brings it in from the 90s. I can't believe Chevy was still selling a design interior like this in 2022. It just looks like it looks like it is from the 90s. Just look at this piece right here, this glove box. This could have been taken from any Chevy product or American design in 1996, and so is the steering wheel and the gauge cluster, all analog, which looks pretty decent, very functional. You have a bit of a display digitalization right here going on, but nothing crazy. And then we have a small screen in the middle as the infotainment screen right here. This is a 2022 design, so this was in desperate need of an upgrade, and I think they made a fantastic job, just like they did with the 1500 series Silverado, to just bring this design into today's modern world when it comes to design. Look at the steering wheel, for example. No more soft 90s design in the steering wheel and the buttons and everything here. This looks like it hasn't been updated in decades. Now we have a brand new, modern, clean looking steering wheel with some aluminum or metal trim right here, as you can see, looking beautiful. And you can see that the buttons themselves have been upgraded, and the design of the centerpiece of the steering wheel as well, making it look a whole lot more modern than the 2022 model. And on top of that, this big infotainment center with the gauge cluster right here, and then you have the, I think, 13.4 infotainment screen in the middle. It just looks a whole lot better, and everything has a better flow to it. You can see that the glove compartment now flows in and creates a base for all this technology to sit on, and I think it's a huge step forward for the Silverado, specifically in the interior. But I'm also happy about the midnight edition for the High Country and the ZR2, which I think is going to be a beast when that eventually comes out.